When your dog suddenly becomes clingy, do you actually know what that means? It might look like love, like they just want to be near you all the time. But behind that affection, there's something deeper that most dog owners completely miss. It's one of the most emotional and vulnerable things your dog can do. And if you misunderstand it, which most owners do, you might accidentally reinforce anxiety or miss a critical signal. Let's start with what this behavior really means. 1. It's not just love. It's a shift. Have you ever noticed your dog suddenly following you everywhere, even into rooms they used to ignore? Most people think it's about love, that your dog just became more attached overnight. Here is what's actually happening. Clingy behavior is often a response to change. Something in your dog's environment, routine, or emotional state has shifted. It could be subtle. A new schedule, less attention, a new smell, even your own stress levels. Dogs are incredibly sensitive to patterns. And when those patterns break, they don't understand why. So what do? They move closer to the one thing that feels predictable, you. Emotionally, this isn't just affection. It's your dog trying to stabilize their world. Think about that for a second. In a pack, when uncertainty appears, members don't spread out. They close distance. Closeness equals safety. What this reveals is simple. Your dog isn't just loving you more. They're depending on you more. And that's a completely different emotional weight. 2. The science of sudden attachment. Have you ever wondered why this behavior can appear almost overnight? Most people assume dogs just go through phases. Tara's what's actually happening. A 2020 study from the University of Helsinki found that dogs are highly responsive to emotional changes in their owners, even when those changes are subtle and unintentional. Your tone, your energy, your routine. Your dog is constantly reading it. Another study from Emory University, using brain scans, showed that a dog's reward center activates strongly when exposed to their owner's scent. But here's what matters most. Your dog isn't just recognizing you. They're regulating themselves through you. Emotionally, you are their anchor. Think about that for a second. When something feels off, your dog doesn't analyze it. They seek the source of safety. And if they're suddenly glued to you, it means their internal state is trying to rebalance. What this reveals about how your dog sees you, you are not just their companion. You are their emotional reference point. And here's where it gets even deeper. Clinginess is a scent-based connection. Have you ever noticed your dog choosing to sit on your clothes, your side of the bed, or right where you were just sitting? Most people think it's just a habit. Here's what's actually happening. Dogs experience the world primarily through scent. Your smell is not just familiar, it's calming. Studies on domestic dogs show they can distinguish their owner's scent from others even after long separation. But this isn't just recognition. It's bonding. Emotionally, your scent tells your dog, this is safe. This is my place. This is my person. Think about that for a second. In a pack, scent defines belonging. It's how members know who they trust. So when your dog becomes clingy, they're not just staying near you physically, they're immersing themselves in your presence to feel secure. What this reveals is powerful. Your dog sees you as their safe base. Your presence regulates their stress, their fear, and even their confidence. And hey, if this makes sense to you, hit like and subscribe. It helps us reach more dog owners who actually want to understand what their dog is really saying. 4. This behavior starts in puppyhood. Why does this response feel so instinctive? Because it is. Most people think clinginess develops later in life. Here is what's actually happening. From the moment puppies are born, they rely entirely on proximity. They stay close to their mother and litter mates for warmth, protection, and survival. Distance equals danger. Closeness equals life. That wiring never fully disappears. Think about that for a second. Even as adults, dogs carry this instinct. When something feels uncertain, they revert to proximity-seeking behavior. In wolves, this behavior is even more pronounced. Pack members stay physically close during stress or environmental change. So, when your dog suddenly sticks to you, It's not random, it's ancient. What this reveals about how your dog sees you. You are not just part of their world, you are their safe center. And when that center feels threatened, or when something else does, they move closer. This is where most owners get it wrong. 5. They don't do this with everyone. Have you ever noticed your dog doesn't act this way with other people? Not with guests? Not even with other family members sometimes. Most people overlook this detail. Here is what's actually happening. Clinginess is selective. Dogs don't attach equally to everyone. They form primary bonds, one or two individuals they trust the most. Emotionally, this is huge. Because when your dog chooses you during moments of uncertainty, they're not just being dependent, they're choosing their safest person. Think about that for a second. Out of everyone in their world, you are the one they move toward when something feels off. In pack dynamics, this mirrors how lower ranking or younger members stay close to the most stable leader. Not out of fear, but out of trust. What this reveals, your dog doesn't just like you. They rely on you more than anyone else. And here's where it becomes even more emotional. 6. This is about vulnerability, not attention. Have you ever felt like your dog is being too needy? Like they just won't leave you alone? Most people interpret clinginess as attention-seeking. Here is what's actually happening. Clingy behavior is often a sign of vulnerability. Your dog is not trying to get something from you. They're trying to feel safe with you. Emotionally, that's a big difference. Attention-seeking says, "Look at me." Vulnerability says, "Stay with me." Think about that for a second. Your dog is choosing closeness because something inside them feels uncertain. It could be stress. It could be fear. It could even be physical discomfort. But instead of isolating, they come to you. What makes this even more powerful is dogs instinctively hide weakness. So if your dog is openly seeking you out this intensely, it means they trust you enough to be vulnerable. What this reveals about how your dog sees you, you are their safest place to be, not okay. And that's one of the deepest forms of trust a dog can show. 7. If it suddenly stops, don't ignore it. Now here's something most people never think about. What if your dog suddenly stops being clingy? Most people assume that's a good thing. Here is what's actually happening. A sudden drop in attachment behavior can signal something is wrong. It could be emotional withdrawal. It could be illness. It could be discomfort your dog is trying to hide. Think about that for a second. If your dog once saw you as their safe base and suddenly distances themselves, that shift matters. In many cases, dogs that feel unwell will isolate to protect themselves. So if clinginess appears, suddenly pay attention. But if it disappears, just as suddenly pay even closer attention. What this reveals, behavior changes are messages. And ignoring them means missing what your dog is trying to tell you. So, next time your dog suddenly becomes clingy, remember what's really happening. It's not just love. It's not just habit. That's not simple affection. That's emotional dependence, trust, and vulnerability all at once. Your dog isn't just following you. They're choosing you as their safe place in a moment of uncertainty. And that behavior, it was never small to your dog. And it shouldn't be small to you either.